welcome back to my channel. I'm Rita from Rita Ventures Group Cruising, and I am your travel advisor for all things group cruising. Welcome back to another episode this week. This week I wanted to go over corporate retreats at sea. It's something that not a lot of people think about when they think about cruising, but you'll be surprised how not only cost-effective corporate retreats at sea can be, but also how great they can be for strengthening the bond between employers and employees. So I recently joined one of my corporate clients. It's a technology company located here in Orlando, Florida. And they do an annual corporate retreat. This is the third one, I think, that I've helped them plan, and it has been amazing this whole time working with them. I do have some background in the event industry because I did graduate with a bachelor's in hospitality, and I did focus on event management. So I think that helps me out a little bit. It gives me a little bit of an edge when putting events on at sea, because I also have that aspect in mind as well. So I interviewed Mr. Ryan Schramm, who is the COO of Ezine. We did this interview while on the ship. So I'm just kind of gonna go over a transcript of our interview about some of the benefits of bringing your corporate retreat to sea. So if you have ever thought about planning the corporate retreat, or two, kind of doing something different and bringing your corporate retreat to sea, this is definitely one episode that you want to stay tuned to. So let's get going. So it was the end of January, so we sailed on typically this group we sail on a 3-night, but this time we sailed on a 4-night, which is really nice. I think they had extra time to do lots of one-on-one events with their employees, and I think that's what the benefit of a 4th night is compared to a 3rd night, that you just get more time that you normally don't get. Now, with Ezine, they have their main branch here over in Orlando, Florida, but then they also have 6 to 7 other branches around the States and within Canada as well. So one of the things that is important to them when they do these corporate retreats is to all get together, because each of the branches has their own personality and their own way of communication. So this kind of brings everybody together and get back on their own and the corporate flow, so to speak. So I have 5 questions that I'll go over that I had with Ryan, and I'll just give you a little bit of what we discussed. So the first question was, how did the corporate retreat at sea come about? And his response was that it came about when the company was first starting. It started out with 30 employees, and it was a way to cost effectively get together, talk about some of the year's goals, and kind of build up momentum for the year. And he says that one of the benefits is that everybody's together at the same place at the same time. They purposely don't allow spouses or families, so that there are these forced collisions in this quote-unquote adult camping atmosphere, so that people can get to know each other on a deeper level that they're not used to, especially if they're in the different offices. And that it not only helps to improve the communication, but it also helps to invest in the company culture. So I asked because one of the strong suits that he saw was enhanced relationships. So what would he say is the ROI, the return on investment, for a corporate retreat at sea? And he mentioned that he sees it in different ways. And one of the most important ways is that you can feel it. And I know that's very intangible to measure, but I think, because I can experience this myself when I go on educational conferences, there's an increased camaraderie between your colleagues that you feel. You're pumped up because not only do you have this enhanced relationship with everybody, but you have increased knowledge to help perform better in your role. I'm just trying to think of myself personally, but this is kind of some of the things that he was mentioning too. That because you're on this high from being around such amazing people, you are more motivated to do better. Not saying that you were doing poorly, but it just gives you, it's kind of like a battery. It just gives you the kick in the pants that you needed. And he does mention that they do different trainings throughout the year as well. So that they're still communicating with everybody, but that this is kind of like the kickoff event for the year to get everybody on the same page as to what's going on. He says on a quantitative basis, they are a technology company, but there is a lot of sales to it. So on a more quantitative basis, he can point out different projects that have come to fruition because of connections that were made on this corporate retreat. And that was either through product idea communication because of product ideas or sales techniques. And he says that these different communications, that when different departments, not only the different offices, but when different departments are coming together and they're able to work upon an idea, that it generates more revenue, that he can correlate it to business that they've won shortly after this retreat happens every year. And then the third thing that contributes to ROI is retention. And it is so important, especially nowadays when the job market is huge. Anybody can get a job anywhere, and everybody, the workforce is being extremely picky now. So employers have to be very competitive in how they retain those employees. And I don't know about you, but if my employer offered me a free cruise to go on, I am down and I'm staying every year. So my third question was, what are some of the elements of your cruise retreat? And I can attest to this from being there and helping them out, because I'm at every session that they have to make sure everything goes pretty streamlined. And they do a lot of breakout sessions. There's a keynote speech from the CEO, but then things that are not like in a formal like conference setting. I know that they do one-on-ones. The CEO and the COO do one-on-ones, and then they have such fun events planned. I know one of the first nights to kind of get to know everything on the ship, they do a little scavenger hunt, and then they do different like cocktail hours throughout the cruise. But not only that, I mean, one of the reasons that I love working with them is that they're so inventive. So they have themed cocktail nights. It's just really wonderful. So not only is putting on a corporate retreat at sea awesome, but the fact that you can up the ante and bring all these different value-ins is amazing for the people that you bring on a corporate retreat. Now I did ask, why continue to choose cruise retreats versus a resort retreat? And his response was, for every dollar spent, they can see the value. Since most of the employees are based here in Orlando, those who are local, they don't want to stay in an area hotel, because really, why stay in an area hotel when you can just drive 20, 30, 45 minutes and just sleep in your own bed? The big major thing, and I know this from my events knowledge here, is that there's so much more added costs when going to a resort. Just the cost to feed, feed your people, that doesn't include your AV, that doesn't include your space, your chairs and all that. Just the cost to feed people can be the cost of what an entire cruise retreat can cost. So that alone is a huge cost savings, because when you're on a cruise retreat, if you didn't know, meeting space, you don't have to pay for it. You do have to pay for AB, but the costs are so minimal compared to being on land. Same with the food. You've already paid for the cruise. The food is included, so there's no added food and beverage fees there, unless you wanted to do, because one of the components that they do is they do 2 dinners at the specialty restaurant, and that's one is a recognition for their senior staff, and 2 is a recognition for their top earners in the company. Alrighty, so the final question that I asked him is, what value do you find in working with me, a travel advisor? And I laughed because his reaction was a little not comical, but it was, I just had to giggle because he's like, seeing how maintenance we are, we need somebody there to help us out. The company, they don't have any event managers, so it's good to have the middle person to be able to communicate the ins and the outs of the event industry, especially on the travel side. Let's see. He does mention that I'm able to get him preferred pricing and value adds. He does say that is a huge value that I sail with them on the cruise, because none of them are event managers. So the value of me going with them is that they can stay focused on their content, which is the cruise retreat. And I can stay focused on the elements like, is our room available? Is it clean? Has it been set up? And different things like that. So that is just a little glimpse into corporate retreats at sea. Let me see if I missed anything. Just know that while immediately we see cruises as vacations, they're not always for vacations. You can work at sea, and who wouldn't want to be working at sea? I know it's one of my favorite things to do. You do have, I did mention, your reading space is included and your food and beverage, but you also have onboard activities and entertainment, and you're stopping in islands. So that just adds an added factor to your corporate retreat at sea. So if you're interested in learning more from me, go ahead and send me an email. I'm going to include the link down here. Well, not the link, but my email address down here. If you like this video, please make sure to like, thumbs up that, and subscribe to my channel for more content. Next week, I'm going to do a little photo journal of what a corporate retreat at sea can look like for you. So I hope you have enjoyed this. Have a